Hello, my name is Shannon and today we are talking about my top 5 knitting tools that I cannot live without. Hello, if you are new to the channel, I talk all things knitting, crochet, fibre arts on this channel. If that's something that you would be interested in, please give me a subscribe so that you can keep updated on any further videos that I post. If you like this video as well, be sure to give me a like so that I know that this sort of content is what people like watching. So today, my top 5 knitting tools. Number 5 probably arguably could be split into 2, but I've put that together because I normally use those things together, but I will explain what I mean when I get to that. So tool number 1 are my Lykke knitting needles. I have the indigo set, so you can see one set, the 3.5 is currently not in here because it's on a project, but I love these needles. I tend to prefer wooden needles. I am quite a loose knitter, so I have quite a hard time sometimes getting gauge if I use metal needles. As nice as metal needles are, I have a hard time getting gauge, so I love wood needles. I have had these for a few years now and they're still in really good condition. I also, it doesn't really help with how well they are, like, what's the word? How much they improve my knitting. I'm trying to think of words. For some reason, brain is not doing it today. But I do love the blue colour, just like aesthetically. I think they are lovely. They come with, again, they're not all going to be in here because they're with other projects, but like cables and stoppers. And this pocket I also have put, I think I've got a pair of sock needles in here. I've got additional needle tips and things, so if I go anywhere I just put stuff in this pocket and I bring this with me. I absolutely love these needles. This is my second set of interchangeables, and if I had to go back and only buy one set of needles, it would be these. Absolutely love them. The cables have the swivel as well, so I'm not having to fight my cable as much. So yes, tool number 1, my interchangeable needle set. Upside to having interchangeables as well, yes, they are quite a big investment. I knit for probably about 10 years before I got a set of interchangeables, but now I have a bunch of lengths, like cable lengths, sizes, so I'm not having to buy separate fixed circulars aside from the smaller sizes. I'm probably going to get some more cables because I think I've lost some. I'm not quite sure how, but yes, so it's kind of a one-stop shop for needles. So yes, my interchangeable set. My cat has woken up to see what's happening. Hello. Tool number 2, just gonna pick things up as I go along. Project bags. Now, I wouldn't say you needed to get bags exactly like this, but just something that you can put your projects in, whether that be a tote bag, whether that be, I think sometimes you can get just like canvas drawstring bags that are quite cheap. As I mentioned a minute ago, I have a cat and she likes to attack yarn. So bags for me to put my projects in are pretty much essential. If I don't, she will run off with yarn. I did a TikTok earlier today actually. I'll leave my social media in the description, and I was working on testing it and I noticed that she was staring, so I was like, I might record this just in case she decides to run off with it. And yeah, she did. She tried to run off with the yarn in her mouth. So project bags are a necessity for me because I have a cat. Also, I can put whatever I need in here. This one currently isn't being used, but I can put pair of scissors, tape measure, stitch markers, extra yarn, scrap yarn, tapestry needle, all sorts of stuff. So it's all together and I don't have to go rummaging to find where stuff has gone. So tool number 2 for me are project bags. Sorry, Ozzy, didn't mean to give you a fright. Tool number 3 is one of these. See if I can do it without it. Here we go. See if it will actually show. But they are retractable tape measures. You need a tape measure for measuring things. I know, for example, I have an iPhone. There is an app for measuring, which is good for if I don't have a tape measure on me. Sometimes I forget it. But I do find it's maybe not necessarily the most accurate. So I prefer to measure it myself. The thing I like about these is because they coil up and they're retractable, they don't get tangled as much. Well, they don't get tangled at all because they're all in there. So they don't get tangled around needles and things. I don't have to spend ages. I remember getting just like regular tape measure and sometimes having to spend ages recoiling it back up so I could put it away because it was a massive mess. And with these, I don't need to worry about that. They're also kind of cute as well. Doesn't actually help with the usefulness, but you know, added bonus. But I do like the fact that you can pull it out, you can measure and then retract again. Makes it nice and compact. I think most of them, so like this one, I know for example, goes up to 150 centimeters, which for most projects is more than enough. So the only thing sometimes with these is after a while, see, pulling them out, retracting them, they can break. I have not had one break, thankfully, but it can happen. So that's the only downside. But yes, I find these very useful. So tool number 3 for me are retractable tape measures. I have a couple of these that I put in my project bags. Tool number 4, there's multiple of these, but they're all in the same category. So, but see if I can hold, I don't think this is gonna work, but stitch markers. So I have quite a few. So I have, there's like a little cat, probably more of a progress keeper because of the type of clasp on it. I have paw print, there's a cat. I also like these ones. Like, I don't know, paperclip, no, not paperclip, safety pin ones. I think people also call them light bulb stitch markers because you can put them on the needle. They're quite thin, but you can also open them up. I say that I can open it and you can actually put them in your work. So I quite like these. I also have some of just like the plain round ones. I tend to prefer the metal ones because they're thinner. You can get plastic ones and they're quite cheap, but I find they're quite thick. So sometimes if I'm working with a finer weight yarn, it can make gaps between the stitches, whereas I find with, for example, ones like this, I don't have that issue. So I use these for all sorts of things, for counting rows and repeats of things, again, marking stitches in a pattern. And then I use the more like progress keeper ones for seeing like how much I have done. Sometimes I like to see how much I've done in a day or how long it takes me to do a certain section. So I use these all the time. So tool number 4 for me, stitch markers and progress keepers. Tool number 5, so this is the one that I said probably could be argued as actually 2, so 5 and 6, but I pretty much use these all the time together. So I have my yarn swift and my ball winder. I did not get expensive ones, I couldn't afford them at the time. I do have wooden ones back in New Zealand in storage, but I will need to get those sent over at some point. I think if I had to pick only one of these to have, I would pick the Swift because as annoying as it can be and time consuming to wind things by hand, this makes things so much easier, because if you've got a hank, it separates things out so it doesn't get all tangled. And you can use the back of a chair, and I did that before I had this, but I sometimes found it was still quite tedious. It kept getting tangled somehow. So definitely my Swift, but at the same time, I do really enjoy having the ball winder. It's so much faster than winding by hand, but by all means, I'm not saying you have to go out and get a ball winder in Swift. You can do without. I just, when I didn't have these, I really missed them, and that's why I got more. I got these relatively cheap, I think, off Amazon a while ago, and they came in a set. Wouldn't necessarily say it's like, you know, the best quality. I mean, you can tell the Swift is a bit flimsy, but they work really well. I've not had any issues. I do miss my wooden ones, but again, I couldn't bring them over when I moved. It just wasn't feasible. So when I next go over, because I'll have to go over to New Zealand next year, I will find a way, hopefully, to get them over to here. So that is all for today's video. Those are the 5 tools, or if you want to say 6, you know, I completely understand why, you know, technically it's 2, but I'm saying 5. 5 tools that I could not live without. I use them all the time, and definitely, in my opinion, were a worthwhile investment. Just to note, I have been knitting for 16 years, so I did go a lot of my knitting journey without a majority of those things. So by all means, I'm not saying that if you want to start knitting, you need to get those things. But if you wanted to, I would say that I think they're a worthwhile investment. Everyone's opinion is different. Some people might look at those and think, no, not a worthwhile investment for me. I'm not investing in that. And that's completely fine. At the end of the day, knitting is a hobby, crochet is a hobby. You can choose what you want to spend your money on. Maybe you don't want to spend money on, say, a ball winder in Swift, and instead use that money to buy maybe higher quality yarn. And that is completely your choice, and no one should shame you for that. So yes, this is just my tools that I would, let's say if they went missing, I would spend ages looking for them and probably buy a replacement if I couldn't find it. So that is it for today's video. Again, if you enjoyed, be sure to give me a like. Maybe let me know what project you were working on. If you were working on a project while you were watching this, be sure to give me a subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming videos. I will also put all of my social media links in the description and on the screen. They should be up right now. And yes, hopefully, I'm off uni for the next 3 weeks, so I am hoping to try do 2 videos a week. So this should go up tomorrow. I'm recording on Monday, should go up tomorrow. And then Saturdays are going to be podcast days. We'll see how that goes. I may not be able to do that long term, but I do want to give it a go and see how it works. So thank you for being here, and I will see you on Saturday for a new podcast. Bye bye.